So heading into this leg of the series, I think a lot of people are wondering how you guys are doing in terms of health. I don't know if you have any updates from just 2 days ago, but with the long list of players, Blanco, Guzman, Nagbe, Mabiala, and we know Chara's out. Can you give us any updates on those guys?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's only 2 days removed. We didn't train today. We did a recovery session. Chara is out for the game. Really don't have anything else concrete to tell you with regards to availability with any of the other guys. But you know, we'll prepare as if they're going to be out if they're not in training tomorrow.
How do you feel about the depth? Obviously, you guys were able to, bring some guys in and during that game and still grind out the result. How confident are you in your depth if potentially, those 4 guys can't go?
I'm always confident, no matter who I have in, because I have a lot of confidence in this group, and that's not just 1 to 11. That's the entire squad. And we've gotten a lot of results this year without a lot of starters. So. And we showed it again in this last game. So no matter who's in the lineup, I know we'll get a good performance and come up with a good plan and find a way to win the game. And that's what it's about. It's a one-off. It's a cup final. It's a knockout at home. And honestly, we like being at home and knowing we have to win the game.
Talking about that being at home, you guys have, I believe, a 6-game winning streak at home, have 11 wins at home this year. Can you talk about why you've been so good at home and how that helps you going into this game?
Well, I think look no further than the environment. Obviously we have the best environment, I think, in Major League Soccer with our supporters and how loud they are and passionate, and that certainly fuels our group, spurs us on, and with the opponent, I think. It's pretty intimidating. I also think just in general with our style of play, the way we play, and the pitch being fast and tight, and when we get up on teams and get control of the game, and we're pushing to create and score and penetrate in an aggressive way, it's difficult to deal with. We have to be very mindful in this game of Houston's attack, though, as well. So we'll be aggressive like always, but we also have to be patient and smart in how we manage this match, because we know the scenarios, but the only scenario that we need to know is we need to win the game. That's the most important thing. So every game we play at home, we play to win, and that's what we'll do in this game. But we certainly we'll be aware of their counterattack, and we'll be aware of their good attacking players, just like we were last game. Last game we wanted to score a goal, we wanted to win the game. We weren't able to do that. Neither were they. Both of us take a draw. Both of us wanted wins, but we set up the final game here at home.
Coach, you mentioned last week, too, about depth and alluded to the fact that it was a major goal in the offseason after what happened last season. I was hoping you could elaborate on that a little bit more. Just how you and Gavin worked together to learn the lessons of 2016 and how you feel like those lessons or the way you solve those problems is evident in the team now.
Well, I think, again, when you look at how you build a squad in this league to be successful, certainly you have to have talented players. You're big money guys, if you want to use that term, producing, and that's important. That's an important part of winning. But for me, just as important is having your complementary players bringing to the table in the roles that you expect for them to produce and perform, because there's no team in this league that wins with a couple good players. In fact, you've seen, historically speaking, over the years, a lot of teams that have big money DPs, whether it's 1 or 2, that don't win. They're not successful because they don't get the other players right, or they don't have enough depth to manage, the 34-game season. And, our philosophy in building a roster is we build it with a group of players that buy into a team concept, and of course we're going to have the Diego Valeris who, are your bigger money guys that we're going to need to produce and score goals. I think Blanco we hit on this year. He was a guy that we brought in to produce goals, and he's done that. And last year, it's no secret we had some bigger money guys that didn't do that. But in going further on that team concept, the way we play, we need 11 guys on the pitch that are all defending and all playing in a way that we need them to play, and not just playing as an individual. And so it's a real balance there. And then going back to the depth, you need guys like Roy Miller and Lawrence Olem, Moby Akugo, and Dairon Espria. You need those guys because you're going to have injuries. It happens in this league. So last year, when we had injuries, we couldn't get the job done. And a lot of those guys that we put in to get the job done as depth pieces, we didn't keep. And that allowed us to bring in Roy Miller and Lawrence Olem and some of these other guys. So I think, when you look at Sullivan last year, you see a Blanco coming in and producing, and not just producing, but also defending and working hard and being a team guy, a team player. When you see a Lawrence and a Roy who have come in, played a lot of games, they've gotten the job done. So I think that's where we got it right. It's that simple. It's everything I said at the end of the year, and we solved those problems.
You mentioned all of those players that have had to take on different roles or supplementary roles. You have other players like Jake and Zarek who have been starters at some point this year. All of those players together, you've got 8 or 9 players we've now mentioned here. Does that at all change how you, in terms of man management, handle the squad?
No, because I treat all the players the same. Whether they make $2 million or they make, $20,000. I treat everybody the same, and I don't have favorites. I like all my players. I respect all my players. I give all of them an opportunity to audition every day to earn the right to be picked. And if they don't be picked, if they're not picked for the 11 and they're picked for the 18, they know they have to do a job when they come in, and if they do, then they're rewarded. For me, it's about respecting the players as professionals. It's about defining their roles. It's about treating them always with a value. It's one of the first things I say to every group is, there's no first team, second team. It's one team, and I need all of them to be successful. And we've shown that in the years that we've been successful. Last year, there were some times where that wasn't working, but a lot of those guys aren't here anymore.
You mentioned last week about the format, that you would rather have the second leg and the potential extra 30 minutes at home than take your chances with the home leg and play for away goals. You were involved in a 0-0 draw this week. We saw Carl Robinson very openly say that his number one priority was keeping a clean sheet against Seattle in his first leg. Mm-hmm. Are you detecting that in this league we're seeing more coaches willing to employ the Jose Mourinho approach? I'll draw Manchester United here and try to steal a goal at Old Trafford. Are you detecting that approach is on the upswing now?
It's hard to generalize that. There were quite a few 0-0 games recently, obviously, but I think every game was different. Our game was, in my opinion, far different than some of the other 0-0 games. You could tell right from the start with the energy and how both teams were playing that neither team was looking to get a 0-0 draw in that game. Obviously, second half, we shut things down a little bit. We still were looking to create on the break, but with the circumstances of the pitch, with the circumstances of 3 guys going out, and obviously having Guzman and Seba out, we couldn't risk quite as much as we would have liked. And obviously we knew the second leg was coming back at home where we're very good, and Houston's not done so well on the road. So those are all things you have to factor in, and I'm not in the other locker rooms, and I don't know what their plans are and how they're going to approach it. It depends on your team, your personnel. It depends on the opponent. We wanted to win. That was the priority. We wanted to score. We had a good chance early in the game that, we should have buried, and that would have gotten us the way goal. But, I think, again, both teams at the end probably took the draw. But I like coming back at home. So I think we're probably a bit more happy than they are, for sure, coming back at home, knowing how good we are at home. But also, it's all spins, right? So they'll spin it as if if they can get that first goal, then now obviously we need two. And so we're very mindful of that. We know that, but we're not going to, again, overthink it. We're going to play to win.
Caleb, how did Diego Char's injury happen? Do you know? Was it related to the field? Was it a fluke thing?
I don't want to pile it on Houston, but I think it had something to do with the field. Yeah, it was. It's a broken foot based on him planting on the field. So, but at the end of the day, it's too bad. It's unfortunate. It's irrelevant to talk about the past. For me, I'm on to the future, and it's disappointing. Obviously, Chara being out, he's a key player for us, but we'll move on.
And obviously, teams come in here, and a lot of teams like to counterattack. What makes Houston so dangerous? What makes them unique in the way they counterattack?
Yeah, well, again, Paul, you said it. I mean, I think it's important to realize in how well we've done at home. 6 wins in a row and 11, total. Almost every game, it's a game where we have to deal with the counter. So that's the type of thing that we deal with all the time at home, and we've dealt with it really well. We're not going to again over harp on the fact that they're unbelievable on the counter, and we have to manage that. We always have to manage that, and we always have to deal with that. But I think what makes them extra dangerous is just the players, the pace that they have. Kyoto and Elise are two of the fastest guys in the league, and they kind of, I'm hesitant to use the word cheat because it's a tactical plan. It's not like those players are choosing not to do that. They are given the freedom to take up positions, and it's a little bit the cat and mouse, and I thought we played it pretty well last game. We played it in some of the other games a bit better with different personnel. But you can exploit them in those spots, but also you have to be mindful of the fact that as soon as the ball turns over, those guys are in great spots to now hurt you. And we did some things in the last game to help us balance that out, and we'll do those things again or some different things. But I think it's the personnel. They've got a lot of pace, and Wilmer's smart at hedging his bets a little bit with those guys sitting in spots where the ball turns over and they're off.
All that's guaranteed, obviously, is Sunday. So how much are you looking forward to just seeing, no matter who you have out in the field in your 18 for you, these guys rise to the occasion and knowing that, you got this match at home because you earned that top seed, and that's it. It's all you got is 90 minutes, maybe plus. Yeah,
this is what you play for. It's a one-off game, and again, it's a cup final, and we've been in that mindset, a long time. I've been saying this is a cup final for a lot of games, and a lot of those were at home, and you saw what happened. This group seems to rise to the occasion. Doesn't hurt having our supporters behind us, fueling us. I know it's going to be one of the loudest games ever here. I know the fans are going to be electric in terms of the energy they're going to bring, and with that, our guys need to be composed as well. And we can't get, again, reckless. We have to be smart and patient to make sure that we get that first goal. Now we get the first goal, they have to open up a bit, and and then hopefully that leads to the next, and you start to build a margin now and a cushion versus sitting there on one goal, knowing ultimately if they level it, they're through. So those are things you got to think about. But our team has shown a lot of maturity. And when you look at our first leg and you look at some of the other first legs, I think you see the experience that this group has. You see the maturity, and you see the tactical I would say, intelligence and emotional intelligence that our group has, and that's what you have to be a good tournament team. And we've shown that. When we get in the tournament, we show good emotional intelligence, good tactical awareness, and I think a big part of that is those are things we preach a lot all season long in all our games.
Coach, a similar question, but curious what that feeling is like right before you step out onto the pitch, especially at home, with the stakes where they are. What is that feeling like for you?
For me, it's a normal feeling. It's, you know, every game for me is the same. You know, I'm a pro. These guys are pros, and at the end of the day, you don't play the occasion, you play the game. It's that simple, and that's the best way to perform, is to not get caught too much up in anything other than it's the same game. And if you approach every game that way as a coach, and if you approach your team the same way, then you see a performance that looks pretty normal. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a normal home performance, which is usually a win.
Jeff Adnell is a guy that you've relied on in the starting lineup in this second half of the season. Can you just talk about how he's grown into that starting role? And you know, he made another big save this weekend to help you guys grind that result out.
Yeah, real steady. And again, you know, it was his first, I think it was first playoff game. But you didn't see any different. Because again, we don't play any different just because it's the playoffs. It's we play the way we play every game, and we know it's attached to the next 4 games. But we gotta bite off every game and do it the right way and not do anything different. So you saw that with him as well. So that was great to see. That was really good to see that he looked like he's looked in the last 9 games.
And then it was reported on Twitter yesterday that you know, Audi's hamstring injury maybe evolved to some more tendon problems, and he had to see a specialist in LA, and maybe will be out at least 3 more weeks. Can you just talk to what is going on there?
Yeah, we're obviously evaluating all our options with regards to, like we do all the players, but with regards to his case, it's been a tricky case for the medical staff to solve a bit and figure out, and you know, we're always going to be open to getting second opinions and getting advice from the world experts in all these things. So we sent him to LA to see someone there, and we got some good information back regarding moving forward, what we need to do to get him back on the pitch, whether that's this game or we know we have a 16-day, 15-day break after this match. So that's the good news with some of these injuries is, you know, we can get through this game. We should be getting guys back after this game for sure.